Hello friends, my name is Vince Gauman. Thank you for joining me today. We must now have the courage to not simply consume information, but to be part of the transformation. You must have the courage to go beyond simply a daily consumption of information about what's going on in our world, to being part of the transformation, to contributing through transformation. You see, what's happening amongst the awakening masses is that they're gobbling up tons of information from brilliant alternative media sources who are informing them about the actual agenda out there, the dark agenda. And so, yeah, we do need to consume. We need to receive this information. We need to take it in. But you see, what's happening is that it is not enough. It is not enough. And what's actually happening is as people keep taking in this information, they're becoming more angry, they're becoming more fearful, they're becoming more powerless. And that's normal to feel all those emotions, and we must honor all those emotions. We must honor our vulnerable human experience. But we are not taking responsibility for what is emerging in our body, mind, soul that is ours to take care of and to transform. What's happening is as these emotions, as these feelings, as these thoughts emerge in us because we are afraid, because we are frustrated about what we're hearing and what we're seeing, we are projecting it outward onto the oligarchs, onto the globalists, onto our prime ministers, and onto our presidents. We are projecting it onto them and pointing and saying, you are causing this. But what if those presidents, what if those oligarchs are they're participating in a very important process of helping us see our own shadow? What if they're doing God's work of being the representations, the faces of the darkness inside that we are unwilling to look at and transform? You see, when you meet someone, someone you want to date, someone you want to be in a relationship with, you start to project your own disowned parts onto that person. Your suppressed shadow, you project onto that person, and they also act out aspects of yourself that you've denied. That's why we attract our opposite, not just in terms of intimate relationships, but we may find that we keep attracting the same kind of boss, the same kind of close friend. We are attracting people who are mirroring back to us the parts of ourselves that we have denied and suppressed. This is the law of mirroring that is part of this existence of being a human being. We attract people who mirror to us the parts of ourselves that we must ultimately take responsibility for. So as it is in our one-on-one relationships, it occurs at a systems level. So those dark ones out there are on a dramatic, amplified, macrocosmic level, mirroring back the subconscious, the shadow of humanity that humanity has been ignoring. And so as we take in more and more information and we get frustrated and we get aggravated and we get angry and we get powerless, we're projecting this onto them by pointing at them, expecting them to change instead of pointing at ourselves and say, hey, thank you for showing me the inner tyrant in me that yells at my kids. Thank you for showing the part of myself that suppresses me. I've said this in recent videos, but I feel so called to say this again. Look at what they're doing. Look at the specific ways that they're behaving, suppressing, censoring, condemning, persecuting, shaming. We have a part in us that does this to ourselves and others. We have our own inner tyrant. We have our own inner oligarch. We have our own suppressor. And that aspect of ourselves acts out in a way that is tyrannical towards ourselves and to others, particularly children. And we keep gobbling information thinking that somehow if we just learn more, that's enough. No, that's called bypassing. We must go from information to transformation. It is not enough, my friends, to think that the world is going to change without doing our own inner transformative work. That's why you're here. It's not enough to keep taking in all this information, to keep blaming the dark ones. They are doing God's work. They are doing God's work because they are reflecting back to humanity what they're unwilling to look at. They are doing God's work. And yes, they need to be named. Yes, we need to name the intolerable. Yes, we need to call out the abuses of power. But that in itself is not enough either. Gobbling information is not enough. Naming the intolerable is not enough. But the wise one says, thank you for showing me my own shadow. Thank you for showing me my inner tyrant. Thank you for showing me my own inner censor. Thank you for showing me what I do to my children. Thank you for showing me what I do to myself. Thank you for showing me what I do to my coworkers, and I may not do it to your extreme dark level, but I do it nonetheless. See, wise, mature souls see their reflection playing out, and they take ownership of that reflection. Just like when you look in a mirror, you see your reflection and you take ownership of that reflection. That's me. Well, they're reflecting back the shadow. See yourself in them, and you start to wake up. You start to wake up. You go beyond an information consumer, being an information consumer, to being a warrior, a spiritual warrior that says, thank you, dark forces. You are playing an important role. You are doing God's work. You are doing God's work in mirroring back to humanity what humanity wants to keep suppressing, what humanity is unwilling to look at, the pain. Well, they're acting out the pain. They're showing the pain in such an exaggerated, extreme way so as to make people wake up to what's in themselves that they are unwilling to look at. It has to be that strong a medicine. It has to be that strong a dose of medicine for people to wake up. Riot all you want. Condemn all you want. But it is not enough. It is not enough to overthrow the dictators. That is not enough, because another dictator will come along, because the field of consciousness has not transformed, and you are part of that field. You contribute to that field, and therefore we must live the teaching of Gandhi, who said, be the change you want to see in the world. You see, it's one thing to read it and take it in as information, but it's another thing to radically live it. It is one thing to read the teachings of Jesus in the Bible. It is another thing to live the teachings of the cross, to embody the teachings of the cross, to give ourselves to the teachings of the cross, to let ourselves be crucified, resurrected, and to ascend our pain into higher levels of consciousness. So information, we must go beyond that now to transformation and take radical self-responsibility, everyone. Do the work. Look what's happening in the world. Look what's happening in the world. Do you really think riots are going to solve the problem? And I'm not saying you shouldn't riot either. Do you think gobbling up more information is going to solve it? And I'm not telling you to stop consuming information. I'm saying it is not enough. It is not enough, because the people who are pointing, the people who are yelling, the people who are angry at the oligarchs, as I said to you in a recent video, that same day, over 99% of the people who are waking up, who are pointing at the cruelty of the oligarchs, over 99% of those people who are pointing and shaming and getting upset about their cruelty, that same day, they eat tortured animal products And no, you don't need to become a vegan. No, you do not need to become a vegetarian. But you do need to own your own hypocrisy. Instead of saying they are the hypocrites, own your own hypocrisy of eating tortured animal products and calling yourself an animal lover. Most people who claim to be animal lovers eat tortured meat, dairy, eggs a day. Some version of that a day, and feed it to their children. Tortured animal products to their children. And I'm an animal lover, and they're the hypocrites. I'm not a hypocrite. Do you see? And this is just one example of hypocrisy. This is one example of not owning our own pain, because you know what consumes the violence of tortured animal products? It's violence. Violence eats violence. Violence eats violence. Pain eats pain. Walk by a fast food joint. Walk by a fast food joint and look at the consciousness of the people in there. It is low, it is dense, it is heavy, it is depressed, it is sad, it is pained. Pain equals pain. People who do their healing work and they embody more of their light, they eat lighter foods. Does this mean you have to be a vegan or vegetarian? Again, no. But it does mean take responsibility for your projections of hypocrisy and look at where you're being hypocritical. Look at where you're being tyrannical with yourself and your kids and others. Look for where you're censoring yourself and your kids and others. Look where you're expecting yourself and your children and others to be obedient and good, which is what the oligarchs want from us. They want us to be obedient and good and to fit in and to follow the rules. To not speak up. Where are you suppressing your own voice? Where are you suppressing your children's voice? Where are you doing to yourself and to your children and others what they are doing to the masses? We must stop projecting onto them and take responsibility. Stop calling them hypocrites and see where we're being hypocrites. There is no transformation of the world without a transformation in human consciousness, and you are part of that. You have your own portion of the darkness that you are responsible for. You are here to transform that on behalf of the world. It is time to wake up, everyone. Information to transformation. If you want support, I offer online healing and activation ceremonies. It doesn't make any difference to me whether you attend them or not. I'm not doing this to market my stuff. I do not need your business. I am saying this because I want to encourage you to do your work, whether it's with a counselor or a breath worker or with a shaman, whoever it might be, go down your route. And likely you're going to need help. Likely you're going to need help. I don't know anyone who's done significant transformational work without working with at least one practitioner. Sitting at your altar and meditating on your own is likely not enough to heal deep-seated attachments to trauma and programming that are stored in your carbon-based DNA and that span lifetimes and that are inherited from your ancestors. You can participate in my online healing and activation ceremonies, and I will put a link in the description, and I'm not attached to you doing that. But either way, the work needs to be done. The work needs to be done. We must now take radical self-responsibility for our contribution to the level, to the darkness in the world. And stop pretending. Stop pretending that we are not a part of the darkness, because when we pretend, we pretend. We're not tending to the truth. We're not tending to the heart of the matter. We're not tending to the inner tyrant, hypocrite. We're not tending to our heart and our soul and our body. We're pretending. And so we keep pretending. And we keep acting it out. And we keep blaming and shaming and projecting and making it about them. And gathering more information. And gathering more information. Thinking somehow that's going to help. It's going to help a little bit. But it's not enough. It eventually leads to spiritual bypassing, if we taken enough information, and what happens is that we keep looking out there, through taking in all this information, and we forget that it's about in here. And that's what all great teachers, all great avatars have pointed us back to here. So we must own it. own the projection, and be the change we want to see in the world. Thank you.